What is up, YouTube? It's Mr. Ferguson back once again here from Central North Carolina. Thank you so much for clicking on the video. I hope that you'll walk away from this video with a little more insight and knowledge as to pre-emergent. It's what we've been harping on for weeks on end, and we're at the point where now we need to know the details, and that's what we're going to jump into today, so stay tuned for the video. If you're new to my channel, I'm just a DIYer. I never worked in the lawn care industry. I'm not an expert. I'm a guy that came out one time here in Central North Carolina right around the pandemic and said, I'm going to try to have a nice weed-free looking green lawn here in North Carolina, and we've done that successfully. We are using GCI turf type tall fescue here, and we've been successful over the many years. We make mistakes. We show the mistakes here when we mess up, but I'm just a normal guy like you, trying to give friendly, free advice here on YouTube on how you can turn your crappy lawn in the back with dirt and weeds and all this mess into something worth looking at, excited when you get home, fun to mow. So if you're not subscribed, hit the subscribe button. We'd love to have you along for the journey here. We do have some small little super freak and membership packages, a regular, which basically gives you some icons if you want to go the extra mile and help support the channel. We do appreciate it. For pre-emergent, for seed, for any of that stuff, check out the description below of this video. It does help support the channel like every other YouTuber says. So I hate to be a broken record like everybody else, but it does help me. Use the links in the description if you are interested. So weather-wise, guys, it's a little mushy in my yard. We've had rain the end of last week. Was able to get out Saturday. It was a beautiful day. Turned out it was very wet on the golf course, but it was a fun time with my dad to play in our club's dogfight is what they call it with the guys. Weather-wise, we had exactly what we talked about in the last video. Many of you guys were like, I'm going ahead and I'm spraying. Some of you said I'm going to hold off. I told you I was going to hold off. It was a fake spring, and that's exactly what it was. It was a false spring. We had 60s, 70s, and then, man, today we're only getting up to 45 here in Central NC, which is, and let me just make sure I say, you're not wrong if you sprayed prior to this cold streak. You're ahead of the curve. You went early, I will say, a little bit early, but not too early. I think you're fine if you did it last week. I'm going to be doing it here soon. I'm trying to time it properly and watch the weather. It looks like we're going to ease back up into the mid 60s. And so why are we talking about this? We're trying the soil temperatures of our lawn is what's telling us when to go, when to act. It's not the outside temperature. It's not the weatherman. It's the soil temperatures. What are our actual soil temperatures? Now, some of you talked about you actually go out and measure yourself what your soil temperatures are, and that's totally fine. Some people, I told you about Greencast. It gives you a pretty accurate depiction of what our soil temperatures are, and the go time is that 55 degrees. That is when, why is that go time? Not because I say so, not because the experts just picked a number. That's when we start to see germination that the naked human eye can't see in our soil. That's why it's the time to go before 55 degrees. Well, what are we talking about? Well, I heard somebody actually on the golf course mistakenly or incorrectly say, yeah, it's about time. They were on the right track. They were saying, yeah, I got to go. I need to get that pre-emergent down to stop that Poa annua. Guys, this is not a application for Poa annua if you have fescue. Poa annua begins to germinate when temperatures fall in the fall down to 55 degrees. Poa annua starts germinating. So that time is long past. If you've got Poa, you're likely seeing it right now. Some reason I see absolutely no Poa annua. I do see a little bit in my front yard by the edges of my driveway, but I don't see the big Poa annua outbreak that actually launched and started this channel. You may be seeing that. There is nothing you can do besides something like Velocity, which is a Poa annua, Poa trivialis type of herbicide, which is very expensive, but it will kill that if you want to not allow those seeds to plant and cause the cycle. I have not used Velocity, but one time, I believe we sprayed it one time maybe, but you can see I don't really have a Poa outbreak at all behind me. I mean, you can't see behind the camera, obviously, but there is not a Poa annua plant in sight, and I didn't use a bunch of chemicals to do that. I just kept planting grass and thickening up my turf, and we began to choke out the Poa annua plants. Now, it will come up in those loose areas where grass doesn't exist, in your weed beds and your mulch beds, it will pop up. However, if you'll just keep planting grass, if you'll keep killing weeds, putting down pre-emergent, eventually, I'm in year, 6 now, 5, since I made my very first video on this channel, and I had just a lawn. It was literally 70 to 80% Poa annua back here. I had no fescue because I wasn't planting grass. So that's just a freebie there. So anyways, weather-wise, we're warming up. The soil temperatures is what drives our action here to come out of the house while everybody else is watching golf, everybody else is watching college basketball, March Madness, 55-degree soil temperatures. We can't see it. You're not going to say, well, I'm just going to wait till I see crabgrass. Well, that's a bad strategy. You're not going to be able to see the germinating seeds in your lawn, but the crabgrass starts when temperatures are warming up to 55 degrees. I'm going with prodiamine. Prodiamine works. I've done prodiamine pretty much every year except for last year, as we did a test on my channel. If you want to go back a year from now and see, I'm not putting down any pre-emergent. Let's see what happens. I had weeds all throughout the year, all throughout the lawn. I just didn't like it. And so I'm doing pre-emergent again this year to prevent weeds in my lawn. So 55 degrees, we're doing that. So what are we putting down, Mr. Ferguson? Many of you want to know, how do I do this? What am I going to do? Well, right now is what you want to listen to me about. So if you're going to do exactly what I'm doing, I am doing split applications for what I just mentioned. So the yearly, let's start with the yearly limit. For legal purposes, you as a homeowner are only allowed to do 0.83 ounces per 1,000 square feet for the entire year. From January to December, you're allowed 0.83 ounces per 1,000 for the entire year. So anyways, 0.83 ounces per 1,000 square, that's your yearly limit. You are not legally supposed to go over that. You shouldn't even need to, honestly. You should have enough spare. If you do the split apps, you should have plenty of time. So split apps, when our temperatures are right around 52 degrees in the soil to 53, that is when, and we see warmer weather on the horizon. That's the key. If we see, oh, we're going to be in the 30s, we're going to keep doing this up and down thing, it's hard to judge. You got to make a call, man. But when I'm looking on my phone and I'm seeing the 5-day average is around 45, I'm looking at, okay, our 5-day average is 45. You may have some highs, you may have some lows, but what's our average? That's where Greencast can help you see, what is my average? Am I averaging 52? Nope, I'm averaging 45. I need to wait a little bit longer if you can. So you want to wait to right around the mid-50s until we're starting to get on the warmer side of moving into spring. Anyways, you got that. We've belabored that point. When we say it's time, today is the day, I like to spray my prodiamine. You may want to look into Yard Mastery. I know at Lowe's, Home Depot, they sell granular prodiamine products. I can't give you that answer on, well, how much of this do I put down, Mr. Ferguson? I'm not sure. I would look towards AI, honestly, for guidance on, hey, this is what I'm trying to use. This is how big my yard is. Give me an idea. Now, I wouldn't solely base my application off AI. I would check other places, other sources. But if that was me, that's where I would tend to go. Looking on Yard Mastery's website, that might be a resource for you as well. I spray my pre-emergent, and that's what I'm going to tell you about today. If you are a sprayer of your pre-emergent, I am doing 0.183 ounces per 1,000 square feet. 0.183 ounces, not grams, not liters, not pounds, ounces. Make sure when you're measuring this out, it's your unit of measure is in ounces. 0.183 ounces per 1,000 square feet. And so I did not add that up. So somebody, I can maybe do that right here beside me. This is what it would equal for a 4-gallon tank. If you're doing 4,000 square feet, which would be 2 for my 8,000, we'd have to do 2 tanks. So anyways, we'll make it simple. So you're going to do this 0.183 ounces per 1,000 square feet when temperatures are around 52 to 54 degrees, because we're putting it down before our temps average out around 55. That's when they begin to germinate. The pre-emergent has already been sprayed on the ground by you who did it at the correct time. And now all of those germinating weeds are hitting that pre-emergent barrier. They're burning up and they're never existing. You're never seeing them with your physical eye in your lawn. You've done a great job. Now, what will happen is there's different types of weeds that don't germinate at 55-degree soil temps, but they do germinate between 65 and 70, a different set type of weeds. I'm not sure exactly what those are, but that is the purpose of doing split applications. Now, with that said, if you're like, screw it, I'm just going to do one and done. I'm just going to do 1.183 times 2, which would be what, 37 ounces per 1,000. You could do one application at 55 degrees and say, I'm just going to throw this down and be done with it. Do it if you want to, that's fine. I like to do the split app, which means I'm doing this 0.183 ounces twice in my lawn. And I'm doing the second one right around 65 degree soil temperature. 65 to 70 is when it germinates, right around 64. I'm trying to time it. I have to pay attention. I have to set calendar reminders, whatever you got to do. Around 64 degrees, I want to do another 0.183 ounces per 1,000 square feet. So why? Because that's the different set of weeds that's going to germinate, and you're putting a fresh round of pre-emergent down to stop all of those weeds from coming up, where your other pre-emergent may hold, but now you're extending that for a further period of time to truly block out all weeds. And now you don't have to worry about, I got to go spray my yard for weeds. I got to go spray this. I got to mix that. You're limiting what you have to do with other chemicals. You're putting down one prodiamine product, and it should be one of your main weed preventers. How long prodiamine lasts? So 0.183 ounces lasts roughly 6 to 8 weeks. So you're talking about close to 2 months. So when you're doing your first application, if we're doing that towards March 1, so we're doing all of March and all of April. And so once you get into May, if you've done the split app and you've done a second app, now you're getting May into June. So you're covering yourself really up until about July. And that's when the fescue really starts getting hit with the heavy humidity, lack of water. It's hot outside. And really at that point, the lawn is going dormant from just too much heat and too much summer activity. And so that's why you really don't need to go past July. At that point, I think it's fine, because now we're getting prepared to really reseed if we need to. We're focusing on water. We're focusing on just keeping it alive. So that's what my little sticky note is here. I have to remind myself every year. I have to go back and look this up. But the magic number for split apps is 0.183 ounces per 1,000 square feet. You want to do this application twice, one at 55 degrees or 54 degrees or a little bit earlier, and 64 degree soil temps or a little bit earlier. This is going to prevent lots of weeds. If you don't, is it the end of the world? Absolutely not. I proved that last year. I had a nice looking lawn last year. I did not do pre-emergent. I did some weed sprays. It was more aggravating because I felt like everywhere when I do my pre-emergent apps, I'm spraying between the trees, I'm spraying all over my lawn, and it really prevents weeds from coming up. When you don't do that, there's little weeds popping up everywhere, and I noticed it. It was noticeable. Was it the end of the world? No. Would people driving down the road say, man, Mr. Ferguson's got weeds this year? Probably not, but there was little hints here and there. So I prefer doing the one application of prodiamine. Now, you can also do dithiapyr. We talked about that in detail in a previous video, on a Wednesday video, which we went into detail on. Dithiapyr doesn't last quite as long. It lasts pretty close as long, and it does have some post-emergent qualities about it, which I wasn't aware of. When you put down dithiapyr product, it lasts for a long time. You'll want to look up its exact characteristics, but it will also handle some post-emergent, which are weeds that are already maybe in your lawn, and it will kill some of those. Prodiamine doesn't kill anything you can physically see right now. We are putting down this barrier to prevent weeds from ever coming up. It is a great idea. I highly encourage you to do it, but you don't have to, and you don't have to do this to have a nice lawn either. So I hope that's helped those that have been commenting over and over. I see my old videos get hit up this time every year in the playlist. I do have a pre-emergent playlist. If I'm not being clear here, if you've got more detailed questions that I'm not able to get to and comment on, I have a pre-emergent playlist here on my channel. You can go and listen to that and watch. I talk too much most of the time. I'll hear it all the time, but I try to give you all the information, all the details I can. But there's other lawn care people out there as well. You don't have to listen to this guy. We've actually done videos in the summer to show we still don't have weeds. Our prodiamine has held up this long, and right around June or July, when the lawn starts getting weaker, it's less hydrated, we're getting less water, it's going dormant, then we start seeing some crabgrass popping up, because it's not until July. We do this 2 applications right now around this time that last us all the way into 4th of July territory. And at that point, we're just starting to see some crabgrass pop up. So this is something, if you'll just get your butt out there and do it, and I'm talking to me, then it really helps for a long period of time. So I hope this has been very helpful to you. Please let me know below. I know many of you have already done this. I'm waiting. I'm being kind of patient and trying not to jump the gun. But you can jump the gun, especially if you're going to do split apps. Going now is definitely not a bad idea. Then you want to water it in. You want to make sure that when we put it down, it's not sitting on the blades of the grass. We want it to get the soil. So you want to take the time to actually water it in as well. Get that on top of the soil. Get it into your soil. We don't want them sitting on top and drying. You want to go ahead after you spray and water it in and take the time to do that. So God bless you guys. I hope this has been informative, educational. It helps me when I speak to you guys about this. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Give me a quick like on the video. Subscribe if you're not. And we will see you, hopefully spraying some of this pre-emergent we've been talking about for months here at my lawn next time. God bless.